Hey everyone, this is Ben back with you in the Midwest Model Shop. Happy New Year. Hope you're all having a good holiday season. This is the end of 2019 as I finish this, and hoping for good things in 2020. For those of you who right away just want to skip to the end shots, the stuff that's finished, just go ahead and go right here to this minute mark, slide the little thing at the bottom, and you can watch it from there. So in this episode, we start out on my first big modular section of the ship on the superstructure that I could finally focus on. Basically, we're going to be putting together the Mark 37 gun director. It has the Mark 4 radar on top of it, and then the Mark 34 gun director with the Mark 8 radar system that goes up on top of that. A whole bunch of the Pontos photo etch detail goes into it, and it turned out really nice. It looks really good. Then let's see here, just some smaller details that all have to be put together and weathered and everything. So I just kind of went through the way I normally do, showing the assembly of all the parts, then put the whole thing together when we're done. It was cool because I finally got like a little model to work on, but there's a lot left to do on this ship. So I think that's basically it. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Feel free to comment down below. And got to start working the first 4 days of the new year. I'll be gone on a trip, and then I have some time off, so hopefully we'll get some more progress done and get to work on the next section. Anyway, I hope you're all doing well, and enjoy the video. Okay, so here is a section that we didn't finish in the last episode. This is on the O2 deck, and like I said before, we're going to keep things kind of modular. Right here goes the rear control center, which is a giant plastic piece that requires a bunch of photo etch. So let's go ahead and start working on that. So this is the first part of the conning tower. The pieces are glued together, and as you can see, we have massive seams, mold line, another massive seam, the ladders that are going to be replaced by photo etch, and up here we've got flashing, seam, more stuff. So just gluing these two pieces together is going to involve a bunch of cleanup before we can start the photo etch, so you can probably expect the same on your kit. Let's go ahead and fix all this stuff. So we have our seams cleaned up and the photo etch ladder detail installed. There are all the rungs, and we have two little photo etch details up on the top installed as well. There's the seam in the back. I went ahead and just stuck it on this part of the O2 deck because there's this square, which makes it hard to display right there because it'll wobble all over the place in the bottom of the thing. I will go ahead and point out, so this piece of photo etch right here by Pontos is one piece, dropped down no problem. Up here on the top, though, it's actually two pieces with the seam right there in the middle. I had one glued in place. I dropped the other one and went sailing. I gave up, removed the other one because I couldn't find it. My wife came in the room. We started digging around, and about 5 feet from where I'm at, over on the floor, way over that way, I found it. So I was able to salvage it and put it back on. Now we have photo etch railing that goes in here, a couple of ladders for these stations, and then a few other little pieces, and then also there's large photo etch antennas that go here. And then once this is installed, we have photo etch ladders that drop down here. So I think I'm going to go ahead and work on the photo etch that goes in this area next, just so it's prepped and ready to go. And then the gun director that goes up on top, it's its own little assembly. We need to get that all wrapped up as well. So let's go ahead and push on with that part. Alright, so we've got some of the stuff cleaned up, got some more of the photo etch on, got some of the antenna whips in place. Looks nice. Now the range director up on top here, we have to work on that. So, following the Pontos instructions, we have this piece assembled. Now this is one of two, and it looks okay. It was kind of a huge pain in the rear. I'm going to have better luck with the second one, but let's just take a quick peek at the instructions. So this is what they want you to do, and basically, I guess if you're doing this, the big part is right here. this section they have you fold it over, and they show you that it's folded over right here, and that they have you put piece 534, you fold it and then drop it down inside of here. Well, what is out of order with all of this is that you need to leave this piece up so that you can take piece 534 and drop it down inside of there, and take piece 539 and drop it down in front of it as well. Once that's done, then you can fold piece 534 over as it's depicted here. Then you can go ahead, the rest is pretty self-explanatory, and this will all fit together well, but that took quite a bit of messing around. On a positive note though, all of this, as fragile as it looks, actually has very secure points to connect to and folds up nicely, and it's really pretty robust when you're done with it. But this part, this was a little jigsaw puzzle. So like I said before, leave this portion right here up, so it should be displayed up like this. Go ahead and install piece 534 and 539 in the front here, then fold that over and wrap it up, and then you just put those pieces together and you end up with this thing, which is what we've got. Now all I have to do is this stuff, so let's go ahead and work on that. So this is the direction finder all assembled with the photo etch from Pontos installed. Nothing from the kit here except 2 plastic pieces making up the base of the whole thing. It's kind of a pain in the rear to put together, but not too bad. I did lose one part, one of these little tiny rails right here. One went disappearing on me. So on the second one that I make later on, I'll probably just omit like the back side unless I luck out and there actually happens to be a spare. But anyway, this is it. It looks good. So let's go ahead and get this direction finder installed up on top of the mount, and we'll take a look at the whole thing, which basically is going to be ready for paint, with the exception of the direction finders. For a couple of the other positions, we're going to leave those off towards the end till we have those last little details that we want to put together. So anyway, this is the whole thing put together right now. I think it looks sharp, and let's stick it on top where, whoops, bumped it. Let's put it on top where it's supposed to go. Alright, here's the whole thing, dry fit and position. This is all glued together. It's just sitting on top of this O2 deck section right here. But yeah, this is it. We got our antenna whips, we got the direction finder, there's all the ladders. Hopefully my putty job turns out okay and the seams are alright. We'll zoom in here. The radar looks nice for the direction finder. And yes, oh, we have these for the antenna whips right here. There's a little brass photo etch piece, you can see it there and there, that you have to make and install. You can use the kit supplied parts, but this is what Pontos wants you to use. I think it looks a little bit nicer. We'll zoom in on that part from the back. It looks pretty good. Oh, up on the top here, see, I have damaged this little piece right along there. No one's going to notice when the whole thing's assembled, but showing you all, that was the result of taking that part on and off several times trying to make it work right. Let's see. Oh, there are 2 ladders that get installed here and here, but obviously I'm going to wait until this whole thing is glued into place, and then we'll go ahead and tackle that. So anyway, this is it. The next thing to do really is to paint it, and the only thing I'm a little bit concerned about, or I haven't made up my mind, is what do I do about this deck area right here and right in there? Do I paint it the deck gray, or do I leave it the gray color? I think I can get in there fairly easily with a brush and paint it up. Yeah, we'll see. But time to paint it right now and move on to the next section. Alright, so the next part is the Pontos is calling the Mark 37 gun director, and basically you just need to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces together before you start working on the photo etch. Save this part, goes on there until after you've got the photo etch on here. So let's go ahead and start marking this whole thing up and getting the brass on it. Alright, so this is the photo etch. Mostly this is the radar put together. I'll spin it around. But what I wanted to talk about was really right here. The main control center, we'll call it. I've got all of the photo etch on, including the rails, and I just wanted to give it a quick little spin around because honestly, my faith in the photo etch staying on and surviving is a little bit low. So anyway, that's what it looks like. So what I'm going to do is get the little tower area, which the one I showed you earlier is actually the wrong one. It's a shorter one. I got to glue the pieces together. I want to get that glued together and get this mounted onto it so that I don't have to handle it anymore. And then we'll get the radar attached. This bar in the back right here, it mounts right there. So anyway, I just thought I'd show you guys everything, the brass, all brassy and shiny and stuff before we get to the next part here. So alright, here we go. Alright, here it is all assembled and not painted yet. Like I said, I don't know that the railings are all going to hold up. I did lose one piece of photo etch putting this together. It's the very front rail right above the hatch openings. So that's not too big of a deal for the other ones. That's this piece right there. So on the other, I'll pick probably the very front one. I'll just omit it, and I doubt anyone's going to notice unless I miraculously find it. So this is the Pontos detail set. You've got three resin pieces. This piece right here, and then right there, and then the one on the other side for the director. Those are so that they can pivot up and down and move. Anyway, it really wasn't too bad putting it together, except for the railings. This one was real easy, but these were more difficult. I ended up, as best I could, marking each spot and then using a very small drill bit to put a little dent in it to give it something to hang onto. And then, of course, building up little bits of super glue. The radar isn't perfectly plumb and square. I'll work on that with the next one, but it's kind of hard to see. Anyway, hopefully this will hold up well enough so that I can go ahead and get it painted next and then mount it into position, and Lord willing, nothing bad will happen to it. Alright, as you can see here, it took the paint just fine, and here is the Mark 37 gun director according, I'm sorry, 38 gun director according to Pontos. I might have that wrong. Anyway, I've got these baskets that need to be attached to the side of the thing, made up and put on. They were kind of a huge pain in the rear, but they need to be painted. What these were for, if I understand correctly, and I don't remember what they're called, but basically you put flotation devices in there, life jackets, buoys, all sorts of stuff. The idea being that if the ship goes down, you're going to have sailors jumping into the water, and you need something to hang on to. So everything in there is buoyant and is just going to float out. This is why you see these around ships in World War II and other areas. That was kind of the whole point. So even though the Missouri was a new battleship, those of you familiar with her construction, it's not like she had like 2-foot thick armor hull. There was thick armor like that around the main turrets all the way down and certain other critical areas, but the main hull itself really wasn't that thick. The tanks, the water tanks and the fuel tanks and the oil tanks were all meant to absorb the initial impact of shells. So she totally was vulnerable to sinking. But anyway, that's what those are for. We got to get them painted up. So once these two are painted the rest of the way, I'll probably give them a wash and then see about starting to affix them to the deck section we were working on at the beginning on the O2 level. Alright, press on. Alright, so we've got a wash on both of these, and on the direction finder over here on the wave guides on both sides where the cloth was, and then for this hatch on the top here, since this one goes on the aft, I looked at a bunch of my pictures. They're black and white. Clearly these are very dark, possibly black, but I really didn't want to go with black. just because, well, it's super contrasting and I just wasn't sure about it. So I went with Gunship Gray instead, which is also very dark, but also has the added benefit of kind of looking material-like, having a fabric look to it, so I think that's good. Opted to hand paint the deck floor there. Doesn't look perfect, but with the way it'll end up installed on the ship, it'll be fine. So these two pieces, I think for the most part, are done, so we need to go back to the O2 deck level section that both of these mount to and finish up those chunks. Quickly, before we go to paint here, on these cranes I just wanted to point out the difference between the Pontos photo etch and the kit supplied ones. You have the Pontos piece that goes in here for this cradle. You can see that it's got some detail, but they didn't bother hollowing it out, and you don't have the fancy little curved piece there for the cradle that is available on these that make it just a little bit more interesting. Hopefully you can make that out. Anyway, I just wanted to show that real quick before we go to paint with these pieces right here. So I'm working on the little details. This is one of the gun directors for the Bofors that goes up on this deck section I'm working on, and this is the one out of the Veterans model kit. So there's the photo etch sight and the two handles. That one's drooping, I gotta fix it. One of them I lost already. I cut it off the sprue and it just went tink, gone forever. It's a tiny detail. This is what it's supposed to look like before you paint it. There's a dime so you can see how little it is, but that's it. Anyway, the next one, I should be able to put the sight on. The handles will be missing, but you're not going to be able to really tell. And the detail on this thing's really awesome anyway, just the way that it is. So just thought I'd show that before we go painting it up. Alright, we got our direction finders, and then I think these are little search eyeglass type things. I don't really know, but anyway, that's the kit part with the Pontos photo etch on them. And we're going to airbrush them, do a little highlighting, and then install them on the kit. Alright, so here we go. Finished sections of the ship. We got our baskets here. I've got some items I'm working with my wife on I might put in here for flotation devices. But yeah, whole thing's done. We'll zoom in a little bit here. Got our direction finders and some radar. Get the cranes installed in the back there for the munitions. A little hatch. This part right here, we're going to have lines running up for the signals. Let's see here. Yeah, it turned out really nice. It's just a lot of stuff going on. Here's your ladders in the back. Zoom out a little bit so you can get a better view. The antenna whips are a little thick for scale, but they are the brass Ponto pieces, and they're better than nothing, that is for sure. Here's a direction finder up in the front. Get a look there. Also, there is the ship's bell, compliments of Pontos as well. I did go ahead on the direction finder. I elected to paint the material kind of a, I think I talked about it before. It's a dark gold gray is what I went with, and it has a semi elasticy look to it, or material look that I like. It implies that you know, it could move and flex. So that's it. The whole thing, like I said, I think it looks really nice, and it was a lot of work. There's little searchlights that are right up here. You've got your photo etch, different ends of the waveguides. It just kind of kept on going. This piece right here on both sides is a vent. I painted the plastic and then the backside black before putting the photo etch detail on top, just to give it something different to look at there. And then you have the same thing on the other side basically. So Anyway, that's it. The only thing left to do at this point really is go ahead and put it up on the ship. And this, this is a pretty big section. Here's my dime. To grab a bottle of Model Masters paint. You can see how big it is. So a lot of work went into this. Let's take a look at it on the ship. It's pretty cool. Alright, there's the piece set up on the ship. It's not glued down all the way. As you can see on the right, it's lifted up. I just got to put it somewhere safe for the time being. But yeah, a lot of detail went into this. A lot of work. It was nice. As you can see here, it ends up kind of not seemingly turning into being a whole lot though, because got just a little ways to go still. Yeah, alright, this has been checking out. You guys have a Happy New Year. Talk to you in a couple weeks.